This episode of the Restoration Today podcast is brought to you by JobSite. JobSite is the platform built by contractors for contractors. With JobSite, you'll know exactly where your money is going, keep your team aligned, and finally get control of your jobs all in one program. Stop losing money on projects and start running your business with confidence. Book your demo today at jobsite.com. Hey restorers, welcome to this fresh episode of the Restoration Today podcast. Today we're talking everything insurance related, which is kind of exciting. We're recording this mid-year, but renewals kind of come up anytime, and there's a lot happening in the industry, a lot happening in the insurance landscape, all of that. So good things to talk about. I am excited to be joined by Mr. David Dybdahl, who is with ARMR Network. He and I have known each other, I think, almost the entire time I've been in the industry for 10 years. And he's been in the industry for quite a while as a broker and helping restoration companies across the country get their insurance policies in line with the requirements and making sure you're actually covered for what you need to be covered for, because there's a lot of misconceptions for what restoration contractors actually need in their insurance policies and making sure you are actually covered for the actual work that you do every day. So, Dave, thank you very much for being here. I'm going to toss it over to you to kind of introduce yourself and share a little bit about your background in the industry.
Well, thank you, Michelle. I'm delighted to be here and always good to see you.
Yes.
So I started on restoration contractors in 2003 when the insurance industry had put a black mark on the entire business because the insurance industry was running scared from toxic mold claims. And there was no such thing as mold insurance in 2003. There'd never been a reason to have it. And what sent the insurance companies running was they had insured a home in Dripping Springs, Texas. How appropriate of a place is that for a mold problem?
I was thinking that.
And they had insured a $300,000 home. And the insurance company insuring that home was going through a transition of claims adjusters. And the claims adjusters were not telling the homeowner that the leaking supply line for the ice maker had created a problem in the subflooring. And there was Stachybotrys mold under the floor. Mm-hmm. And her family wasn't feeling so good. And once she figured out that the insurance company knew but never told her, she took them to court for trying to kill her family, and she won a $30 million judgment on a $300,000 policy. And that freaked out the insurance companies.
Yep.
And anything associated with mold, including the contractors that cleaned it up, got blacklisted. So there was a period of time around 2005 where it was very difficult for a restoration contractor to buy liability insurance, even if they weren't in the mold business. And so today we're still outliving that initial slam of being blacklisted. I'm an insurance architect and developer. I'm the person that invented contractors pollution liability insurance in 1986. So I was contacted by the insurance company that paid that $30 million. They actually never paid it. I think it settled for $7 million. But they said somebody's got to invent mold insurance. So it took me a year to do that. And now, if you're a restoration contractor, you've got a contractor's pollution liability policy, and it probably covers mold pretty well. Mm-hmm. But that's the history of where it came from.
Okay.
And mold exclusions also hit the industry in 2005. So on regular policies, like a general liability policy, there's a knock your socks off mold exclusion sitting on those policies. And those are partially fixed by a contractor's pollution liability policy, but never completely. And the only way to completely fix what the insurance companies did in 2005 by slamming in mold exclusions is you've got to get a policy that combines the GL, general liability, the core business liability policy, and a contractor's pollution liability policy in a package. And that's what I created and brought to the market in 2005. Just to put that policy into perspective, I'm the guy who invented that too. And I invented that when the Department of Energy contacted me and said, we understand you know how to invent insurance policies. We can't get our nuclear bomb plants cleaned up because contractors can't buy insurance.
Yeah.
So there's never been any reason to have insurance to clean up a nuclear bomb plant because nobody's ever done it.
Yep.
So we're going to need a new type of insurance policy for that. See what you can do. So I combined the GL and a pollution policy together. And that policy tweaked. Can't take a policy for a nuclear bomb plant cleanup contractor, sell it to a restoration firm running around in a kitchen with a hammer and expect it to work.
Yep.
And they don't. But you can modify them. And those are available today from a dozen insurance companies. At one point, there were only 2 insurance companies selling those. Now there's a dozen and they work.
Okay, so that was a lot of information. So now I don't even know where to take my questions. So what would you say when you have a contractor come to you saying, hey, I need to renew my insurance policy and we haven't worked with you before? What's the number one thing that you see in existing policies that might be missing, or coverage that contractors should have, maybe think that they have, but don't have? I'm guessing it ties into what you were just talking about.
It does. Yeah. Some of those modifications.
Yeah.
So we're a wholesale broker. So our actual customer are the retail insurance agents, but there's virtually no place for a retail insurance agent to ever figure out the special needs of a restoration contractor.
Sure.
There's no education venue. But so when we talk to contractors, and we do get calls straight in from contractors, and then we end up working with their agent.
Yep.
Let's see, the number one thing that contractors have to pay attention to, where there's like a 90% of the time it doesn't work, is if they're working for a network, the Alacrity's, Crawfords, Lionsbridge of the world, if that contractor messes up, that network is going to make the contractor indemnify them, which means pay on behalf of. So if the contractor messes up so badly that not only is the contractor getting sued, but the people that sent him to him or her to the project is also getting sued. You need additional insured coverage. And the additional insured coverage, the good news on that is it's free. It's free for the asking. You just have to get it straight. And off the shelf, it won't be, ever. It'll never be straight off the shelf. So the professional providers of insurance to restoration firms have it all figured out. And they'll have the right endorsements. The downstroke for the contractor not getting it straight and taking advantage of that free insurance is it doesn't work at all. And the contractor ends up being an insurance company for an insurance company, personally. So have to get it straight.
Yeah.
And the good news is there's a dozen insurance companies that have that figured out. We're wholesale insurance brokers. We deal with all of them.
Yes. So one of the biggest trends right now in the industry is kind of that getting paid conversation. And there was just the conversation in Congress about Allstate and paying claims and bad faith practices and using best faith and getting paid. That's kind of just a big issue, right? Is there any tie-in to contractors making sure that they have the right insurance policies on their side of the business for when claims start to get a little hairy, a little dicey on, hey, Allstate, hey, State Farm, hey, whoever, XYZ carrier, you owe me money. How can their liability policies kind of play into that? If stuff's starting to get dicey, how important is kind of your liability policies on your company to help make sure that you're covered to get paid?
Well, interestingly, if somebody hires you and says you're not working for us unless you have a general liability policy and you don't have one, they don't have to pay you. Isn't that interesting? Because you're in breach of contract. Technically, and I've never seen it happen with the networks, but if they have an insurance requirement that's very detailed, one of the networks has an insurance requirement, used to be, they changed it. It was 17 pages long, an insurance requirement in a contract.
A lot.
That is a lot. And so it was common to find contractors that were just a little out of sync with some of the things in the 17 pages.
Sure.
And technically, then, a network wouldn't have to pay you for the work you did for the network. So that's, although I've never seen that happen. But being in breach of contracts, not a good idea.
No. Okay, so what you just mentioned is actually another good topic to talk about. How have you seen TPA requirements change or shift in recent years? I think even Contractor Connection just changed some of theirs. Is that right? And they kind of like shortened them or whatever. I can't remember what it is, but tried to simplify at least. So how have you seen those requirements change for contractors?
Well, they're overall, and they've been working on it for years. Because the off-the-shelf policies don't work so well on a restoration contractor, because the insurance companies blacklisted them in 2005, slammed in a bunch of exclusions, didn't tell anybody what they were doing. There was no training for the agents. And so the policies may or may not work. And they've been tightening up on trying to get things that work, especially when the things that work are cost-free. But administering that is difficult. They're trying to simplify the language. Contractor Connection insurance requirements went from 17 pages to 7. And they're working on that all the time, just trying to make it easier. Because no network, and I've written articles in R&R magazine about this, no insurance company or network actually wants a contractor to be an insurance company. That's not good for anybody.
Yep.
Not good for the contractor either.
No.
So they're just tightening up on enforcement as well.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And so, because they don't want the contractor to be an insurance company, nobody does, then they're tightening up on evaluating what kind of insurance is actually in force. That's not more work for the contractor. It's more work for the agent.
Do you have any stories of restorers? You can leave them vague, obviously, restorers where their policy has saved them from maybe a lawsuit, or restorers where their policy was not up to snuff what they needed and that cost them dearly?
Yeah, here's an interesting one. People tend to, it doesn't help with the little Geico lizard at providing financial advice to people.
Okay.
So, you could buy a different automobile liability policy from an insurance company every day of the year and never have a gap in coverage.
Yep.
Because everybody knows to the minute when an auto accident happened.
Yes.
But this is a scenario of the downside of switching insurance companies. It actually happened, and it was a problem.
Okay.
So, contractor goes out to a house and takes a tree limb off of a porch without incident. The year they did that, they did not have a contractor's pollution liability policy. 6 months later, they buy the first one. Then they switch insurance companies a year after that, switch insurance companies a year after that. That goes on, and always to save a little bit of money on the contractor's pollution liability policy. They were switching it out.
Okay.
And then in one case, I think that first policy, 6 months later, the contractor canceled that one and bought another one that was a little bit cheaper.
Okay.
5 years after the contractor had removed that tree limb from a porch, in comes a lawsuit. By that time, there were 4 different insurance companies. ARMR was on that last one, the most recent one. In comes a lawsuit alleging that the contractor had turned that house into a moldy mess without any information on how it could possibly be that removing a tree limb from a porch could have any impact on a house turning into a moldy mess. Meanwhile, there's a lawsuit, and the contractor turns the claims in. Well, they were also switching agents, so nobody knew what was going on. And I found out about this thing 2 weeks before they were headed in for a default judgment, because all the insurance companies said, because it's 5 years later, it's not my job, man. You got to claim it's not my job, man. And there was no response from any of them. I finally convinced my underwriter, the way those pollution policy works is the first mold was the cause of loss. The policy in place when the contaminant is first affecting it is the policy that pays. And since the allegation didn't have any information about how this contractor was responsible, the thing I was able to do was convince that last insurance company to defend the claim on the basis of there was an unusual rain event in that city. And certainly that might have had something to do with the first mold growth. At least we got one of the 4 insurance companies to step up to the bar. So the moral of the story is switching insurance companies when you might not be able to tell the exact date and time of the loss is risky. People don't think about that.
Are there ever red flags on restoration companies that switch policies that often? Is it better to kind of stick with, like, if you know that you have a good agent, you know that your policies are in place, say it goes up maybe a little bit every year, is it worth shopping around, or is there some value in staying where you're at?
There's huge value in staying where you're at.
Okay.
Because another thing that people wouldn't pay attention to, wouldn't have any reason to know, is if I look back 15 years at the insurance companies that were putting their toe in the water to write restoration firms, one of those has survived. All of the other ones got out of the business.
Wow.
And if you're an insurance company, you don't get out of the business because you're making really good profits doing something. No. You get out of the business when things aren't going so well.
Yeah.
And this has actually happened, I got a call from a really big franchisor on a Monday. And I knew the caller. Dave, how come we can't get our franchises can't get that insurance company to answer the phone? And we got a bunch of insurance policies with that insurance company. I said, well, last week it sold and they fired your underwriters. You're calling empty desks.
Oh.
That's what happens when insurance companies leave.
Yeah.
And And then we actually had some business with that insurance company. And when they sell, they have to put people in places to handle claims.
Mm-hmm.
But it took us a long time to figure out who to call that would answer the phone to handle a claim. So stability is important. I put that high on the list. So my advice is find an insurance company that actually understands your business, is in there for the long haul, because your exposure from the time you do that project to the time somebody can sue you for it is about 7 years. Some states it's 14.
14 is a long time. 7 is a long time. So,
Yes.
okay. All right. So you have some like business related news that you shared with me, I think at Contractor Connection when we were chatting at your booth, that there's been some changes at ARMR Network. So go ahead and talk about those changes. Share with the industry
Sure.
what's new.
So, well, ARMR Network's been around for 25 years. I've got 2 daughters running the show.
Yep.
And I wanted to get them on a bigger platform. So we sold our company to Brown & Brown. Brown & Brown is the largest provider of business insurance to middle-sized accounts in the United States.
Well,
by a lot. And they just bought Risk Strategies, which gives us, I think, 23,000 employees in the United States.
wow.
There is a Brown & Brown office within 10 miles of everybody watching this webcast. I'm pretty sure within 10 miles.
That's amazing. So,
and
go ahead.
That gives us really good reach.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're wholesalers, but we work with independent insurance agents. Independent Insurance Agents of America has 150,000 agents, and then Brown & Brown's got another 20,000. So there's easy access to the right kind of insurance on a restoration firm, no doubt about it.
Perfect. Okay, so what does that mean for you and Kari and Angela, right? I believe is the other daughter. So what does it mean for you guys? Now what?
Well, for me, I went into Brown & Brown as a professor at Brown & Brown University because
I love it.
It's something I wanted to do. So when I talk about there was no educational venue for agents to realize or learn about what a mold exclusion might do in one case to a restoration contractor, I wanted to do something about fixing that situation. So Brown & Brown University has been the training ground for their brokers for over 15 years. It's the longest standing educational function specifically for brokers in the United States. And I just will ride their coattails into the offices. Probably I won't get to 500 of them, but I'll be doing that for the next 3 years.
Okay.
And my goal is my legacy will be to leave Brown & Brown with the most trained brokers into the special needs of environmental risks and insurance. And they will be very competent on the restoration class.
Love it. Very good. Okay. And what are your daughters up to?
Well, Kari is running the show.
Not surprising.
And she's doing great. She's doing great.
Yeah.
And then Angela is doing all the administrative work, which she does not like, but she does it perfectly. She's up for a national award at Brown & Brown, which they never, ever give to a new acquisition. So she's already paved new ground by doing that. And then her passion is sustainability.
Okay.
So we have a call today with the corporate headquarters on the connection between sustainability and environmental insurance,
Awesome.
which is really pioneering work.
Yeah.
But she has a master's degree in sustainability.
Okay. I'm making myself notes. I love it. Okay. Well, I feel like I should call you Professor Dybdahl now. Can I call you Professor Dybdahl if you're the professor of Brown and Brown University now? Professor Dybdahl.
It is. That is my title on the corporate.
I like it.
The corporate directory is Professor BBU.
That's awesome. All right. Well, Professor Dybdahl, thank you so much for your time. Is there anything else that you want to add before we wrap it up?
Well, I'd just like to say thank you to the restorers. They perform a very important function in the resilience of the United States, if you think about it.
Yes.
And so it's going to be a very good business for the restorers. Climate change is real. Texas is having problems in they're seeing the effects of not paying attention to it kind of politically. Unfortunately, it's political. It's real. And resilience will be funded through the insurance mechanism. You already see FEMA backing off, going to the states. So they're trying to privatize resilience. And for people in the business of insurance, my message to them is this is a great business because more and more damages from weather events, hotter hots, colder colds, wetter wets, dry dries, all of that will drive the need for more money flowing through the insurance mechanism.
Yep.
And who does the work? The restorers. So for the restorers, get your kids into business. It's going to be a great business. It's not going away. You can't outsource a restoration job to China.
This is true. Or AI.
Right?
So,
No.
nope.
Great business. I love it.
Yep, I do too. All right, Dave, well, thank you so much. Congrats on the sale to Brown and Brown and everything that your family is doing moving forward, what you've done to get here. Thank you very much, and thanks for being on the show. I've appreciated it.
Great to see you, Michelle.
For more restoration today and the latest news, visit our website, cnrmagazine.com, and find the latest episodes of the Restoration Today podcast on your favorite podcasting platform.